Hello and welcome to the OutboardDad channel, your ultimate guide to outboard motors. My name is Keith McGowan and I am the OutboardDad. My goal is to share with you all the experience that I have learned from others in this industry, as well as my own 30 years plus experience owning a boat and working on outboard motors. So that's my goal here, is to help you have a better boating experience. Would you like to save money? Thousands of dollars? So I'm going to give you 3 top things just in this video today to help you save thousands of dollars on repairs, to help you maintain your boat better, to save more money, and also get out on the water more and enjoy it more. And then of course, ultimately, what we want to do is when we're purchasing motors, we want to know before we buy. So those top 3 things I'm going to share with you today in this video. We're going to go over some basics of outboard motors and how they work and what things are needed in order to have a successful boating trip. Right? So in my personal experience, my first outboard I bought on my boat was when I was about 18 years old. And the first thing I did was pick up a book. There's plenty of books you can get on outboard motors that are out there today. I encourage you to pick up any of them. Not all the information is great, but with a multitude of counselors, we learn more and more, don't we? And get to know your local outboard shop, get to know the mechanics there. It's a good idea. So the first key, the first takeaway from today's video I want to talk to you about is an experience that I had as a young boater. So what I had was, I had an outboard motor. It was similar to this one here. It was much older, of course. It was back in the late 80s. And I had learned from the book some maintenance techniques like checking the lower unit oil. So when I removed the plug from the lower unit oil, I had a little bit of moisture come out, and I had read in the book that it may need to be resealed if there's water in the lower unit. Now, a little bit of moisture may not be a big deal as long as the oil's not like mayonnaise, but I got a little nervous and I took it to a shop and paid them to do a repair. Back then it cost about $300. Today it's probably over $1,000 to have that repair done, to rebuild, do a complete rebuild on a lower unit, depending on the shop that you go to, and of course the area that you live in. But in New Jersey here, it's very expensive. They get upwards of $180 an hour for outboard motor repairs. So I took that lower unit to that gentleman. He did a repair on it. The mistake I made was, after I took it out on the water, I didn't check that oil again, right? Simple test. We're going to show you how to do that in upcoming videos. Just removing that screw in the lower unit and seeing if there's moisture in there. I assume the repair was done correctly. Unfortunately, it was not. I put the boat away for that season, and the next time I took the boat out in the spring, I had a failure first time out on the water. Now, any of you boat owners out there, you know what it's like to be out on the water and have these kinds of failures, and you're stuck again. And then what did it do? It cost me more money, right? So I want to diffuse that saying, that old saying you hear, the 2 best days are the days I bought it and the day I sold it, right? I don't want people to have to go through that, and you shouldn't have to, just by some simple tests. Now, had I just checked that, I'd have realized there was water in my lower unit, and I would have taken it back to that gentleman, and I'm sure he would have owned up to it and done the repair properly, right? But at that time, that guy was out of business. It was kind of a private guy that was doing that work. So I ended up buying a used rebuilt lower unit for about $1,000. So when I paid for the repair and I paid for the new used rebuilt lower unit, you better believe I checked that one, right? So then I was back out on the water, but it was difficult. It cost me a lot of money. It took me some time to diagnose what was wrong with it. So it's always good to know these things, even if you're paying another mechanic to do it. So second key takeaway is taking care of your engine while it's running, while you're out on the water, while you're storing, right? So there's all kinds of products here. This is one of my number 1 favorites, Startron fuel treatment. There's a lot of different fuel treatment systems that are out there. I have personally found, through experience of my own boat and also customers' boats that I've operated, that I've worked on doing maintenance over the years, that has been the best fuel treatment to keep water from separating in your fuel, right? So every time I go to do a repair or work on a friend's boat or a customer's boat, I always take one of my jars, right? I keep them here, and I pump some fuel right out of their tank into this jar, right? And I'll pump maybe about half full, and I'll let it sit on the bench and see what's happening to it while I'm doing any other repairs, whether it's a tune-up, maybe a water pump replacement, right? So the second thing in this video today I want to talk about is using these type of products. Startron I've found to work the best. There's other ones, Stable, there's other brands out there. You figure out which one is best for you. This is the one I've seen tried and true from my personal boating experience. So what happens is you have a phase separation in the fuel, right? So all of our boats, motorcycles, ATVs, lawnmowers, all of our generators, they have fuel tanks on them that are vented to the air, right? So when I'm vented to the air, they have ethanol in the fuels now, right? Well, I say now, it's been the past 20 years, and that will absorb moisture from the air. Right now it's raining pretty good outside. Your boat's sitting outside with a vented fuel tank absorbing that water. You can't seal it up. They're not designed to be sealed up like your car engine. Your car engine is designed to have a sealed gas tank, and it's specifically set up that way. And also in your car, you're putting new fuel in every week, every 2 weeks at a minimum. So it doesn't really get a chance to absorb enough moisture like your boat does sitting maybe a month before you get to use it, and especially over the winter months, right? So we want to make sure we treat that fuel properly for storage. There's instructions that come with it. I actually add some starch on to the fuel lines when I do my storage so that the carburetors or fuel injection system, depending on the motor that you have, is treated properly, right? So this will help you have a better boating experience. Your motor will run better. Some of the two-stroke motors like this one, if you get moisture in the engine, simple, what happens? You'll burn up your pistons, right? This is one that came out of a Yamaha 250 horsepower motor. This was actually the second rebuild for a customer of mine, and I said something is going wrong. I'll cover your next rebuild under warranty. The labor I'll cover, you pay for the parts, but we have to find out why this is happening. All we did was pump out fuel. When we finished changing out the motor, there was about a 1/2 inch of water in the bottom of that fuel. So we want to make sure that we're having proper fuel maintenance, again, especially on two-stroke motors. And why is it more important for two-stroke motors? Basically because two-stroke motors have oil mixed with the gas, whether it's injected like this motor like this is, or direct injection, right? It goes through that engine with the oil, right? So as it's lubricating the engine, if I have water in there, I have a lack of lubrication. It's very simple. It's not something that's difficult to diagnose when you have these type of issues. Now, how do we find this out? Well, the motor won't run right. Sometimes it'll make a knocking noise. But you can buy very inexpensive. You can buy these borescopes that hook up to your cell phone, and you can take the camera, pull the spark plug out, stick it inside there, and you can see what the inside of the cylinder walls look like, right? Or simple compression tests can be done. So that brings me to my third thing we want to check. Whether it's a boat I've been running for several years, or a boat, more importantly, I'm looking to buy, right? If I'm looking to buy a boat with an outboard motor, one of the first things I always do, whether it's for customers, because I do boat evaluations for customers, or it's for myself or for friends, I do a compression check on that engine. Now, a motor like this one, this particular one, this is a 1990s motor, 150 horsepower Johnson Evinrude motor. It should be around 120 pounds per cylinder. As the engine wears, it will go down. 110, 105 is not unknown, and it'll still run okay. You may lose some power at that point, but more importantly, you want to record what you're getting, right? So if I have 120, 120, 110, 115, 115, 120, this 110 is getting close to 10% below all the other cylinders. So on average, I don't want to be more than 10%, right? When I start having that, now I definitely want to scope my cylinders with my camera, especially that one particular cylinder, to see if there's scratches in that cylinder wall, because then you know that wear isn't going to get worse and it's continued to deteriorate in that motor. So those are the top three things we want to look at when we're looking at outboard motors or when we're operating our outboard motor. Those are the takeaways that I have for you today, and we'll continue on with more stuff that we're going to learn about these outboard motors. I'm going to get into the motor specifically and maintenance for that, spark plugs and tune-ups. I'm going to get into the power tilt and trim. This particular one, before I purchased it, I did some tests on it and pushed the button and had the power tilt and trim come up and noticed that one of the seals is leaking, right? So we're going to go into a repair for that. So you want to know those things before you buy, right? So that's my goal here with this channel, and to help others who buy those boats or who own a boat now, and maybe it's been sitting in your yard for a year or two because it had a problem, you had already spent too much money on it, it became a bone of contention between you and your wife or you and your spouse. Let's get past that and enjoy boating. Because if we do these simple things each time before we go out, each week or each month we do our maintenance, if we store them properly, we take care of our fuel properly, we use the proper oils, right? We're going to get into that in my channel in more and more of these videos. We're going to get into why it's so important to use the proper oil in your engine. It may seem obvious, but it's very attractive when I can go to West Marine and spend half as much on my two-stroke oil, right? Or fogging oil, right? I want to use fogging oil, especially on my two-stroke engine when I store it for the year, to make sure that engine is coated with oil and it's going to have longevity and start right up for you for the season, so you can have a good boating experience. So that's my goal here. I hope this was helpful for you. Please hit that like button and subscribe. Please send any comments you have to the group, because I want to build this group so that people can have their own comments. You're going to have experiences that I haven't had. I want to help you with those experiences, and some of those experiences can help other people as well. So again, my name is Keith McGowan. I'm the Outboard Dad, and I'm here to help you have a great boating experience. Have a great day.